Hey, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching. Welcome to another edition of the Miles Grant Show. I'm here today with a good friend of mine, the one and only Mr. Liam Ryan. How are you, brother?
Hey man, I am doing good. I'm feeling pumped. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm looking forward to serving your audience and
Yeah.
hopefully inspiring some people to take massive action and do great things.
Amazing. You said before we got online, Liam said his first words when I asked him how he was, and this is exactly what he's like offline. He said he's cooking on gas.
Yeah, man.
Love that, brother. Love that. There's loads of stuff I want to talk to you about today. This particular, our audience are coaches, trainers, consultants, entrepreneurs who want to build a business, for example, especially in the coaching field. From my perspective, there's loads of stuff I want to talk to you about. For those that are watching, I've literally stalked Liam's social media platforms today to come up with the questions for today's episode. And I've got loads of stuff that selfishly I want to know the answers to, for my own selfish gain. But then you that are watching here get to benefit as well. Few things, no particular order, but one of the things that I saw, Liam, one of the things that I know that you're big into is modeling others and having mentors. What would you say is so important, been so significant to you about having a mentor and also modeling others? Because I think a lot of people get this whole modeling others a little bit blown out of proportion, where they think, in school they tell you you're not meant to copy and copying's bad, but that modeling other people in business is one of the fastest ways. One of our good friends, Jason, always says collapses time frames, right? So what's been significant to you about having mentors and about modeling other people that have maybe been a little bit ahead of you?
Yeah, you know what? That's an absolutely fantastic question. Growing up, as a kid, my mentor was, my dad and other family members. And then I went off into the world of business, left school, had a colorful childhood, built some amazing businesses around the world. And through that period, I didn't have mentorship or wasn't looking at any type of training. I just done it on my own steam. And the reality is, Miles, I ran out of steam. And then I made some pretty bad decisions. And actually, I started to go backwards very quickly. I lost a couple of businesses. My last business, my official liquidation figure was minus £392,000. That was 7 years ago. And it really got me to wake up that, you know what? I'm not as good as I thought I was. Or actually, there's a lot of things I'm not very good at. But for years, I was always scared to ask for help from a young age. Survival skills, do it yourself, didn't really trust people. I'm going to show the world. And that's good to a certain degree, but it only got me to a certain level. So 7 years ago, I was forced to close down a great company. We were in the renewable energy space. The government changed the tariff. It pretty much collapsed overnight. I'd invested heavily into that company, and I was forced to close the company down. And through that process, I always knew I wanted to get back into property, didn't quite know how. And I met who is now my amazing business partner, the Mr. Munoz, the Essex Colombian. And through that process, we went out and found mentors in the property and business space. And 7 years ago, I invested £25,000 in some high level training and mentoring. And it absolutely transformed everything for me. Like literally, I just got around new people. I got around more successful people. I had my mentors and a mentor and a peer group that was keeping me to a real high level of accountability. And they introduced me, Miles, to their processes, their systems. They showed me things that I never even knew was possible, i.e., how to build a multi-million pound property portfolio using none of your own money, social media, systems, processes. And I said, for the first time, I thought, you know what, in for a penny, in for a pound. I've invested 25 grand here. I'm not going to do what Liam wants to do. I'm going to do what my mentor tells me to do. Even though I might not want to do it, I'm just going to trust the process. And as a result of that, my life started to change. So I model my mentors, I follow their processes, their procedures, copy their systems, because you're told at school not to copy. Worst advice you could ever give anyone. The quickest route to wealth is find the mentor, the person, the people doing the thing you want to do, invest money in them, stick to them like glue, follow their system, and as long as you do the work, then you put your own personality, your own stint to it, your own brand, your own vision, and then you create something amazing. And I now get to mentor people as well. So even though I am mentored, I now, operate a property business and wealth training company. It's freaking amazing. I love it.
Amazing. You talk there, you start to talk about not just mentors, but also peer group. I love that saying from Jim Rohn, you become like your life is the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Spend time with 5 successful people, you become the 6th. Spend time with 5 idiots, you become the 6th, right? What advice would you have to people who watching at home and they're like, the 5 people I spend time with are bloody complaining whiners, lack ambition. Where do I start? How do I upgrade my peer group? What advice would you have for people that are sat at home going, I know I've got more, but the people around me are pulling me down? What would you say to people like that?
Yeah, it's a really good point, because a lot of people out there, we want to please people that we hang around with. And then when you start to talk to, and in many cases, Miles, it's the girlfriend or boyfriend, it's the husband or wife, it's sometimes the people closest to people that are the worst.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault. It's just the way they've been brought up, and they've got their own demons. So my recommendation is get the losers out of your life as quickly as possible. I'm not saying don't hang out with your mates. I'm not saying don't go and have a nice time at family get-togethers. I'm not saying don't have a wonderful relationship with your husband or wife. But you've got to almost put this invisible wall up to say, hey, I'm just not going to take your crap anymore. And I've got a vision. I know I'm worth more. I know I can do more. I've got something inside of me that wants to provide a better future for my family, my loved ones. I can't do it on my own. I'm going to go and hang out with some new people, some mentors, people. And hey, you're just going to have to come on the journey if you like it or not. And then what you do is you lead by example. And some of the people that I remember calling a few people close to me about me investing 25 grand in mentorship, and they were like, you're being ripped off, you're part of a cult, you're being brainwashed. And I said, look, I need a bloody bit of brainwashing, because what I've done has got me to here. And so where can you find these people? Well, there's a lot of great people out there in the UK, all across the world, influencers, successful. It depends what sector you want to go in. So Miles, you are a fantastic coach, business owner. So anyone wanting to get into that space, you would be perfect for them to, come and hang out with you and, take on their services. So what I do is I'll research the market, and I'll go and find 4 or 5 people at the top of their game. And I'll study them, and I'll watch them, and I'll go and consume a whole load of their free stuff, YouTube video, podcasts, email marketing, books. And I'll figure out who I feel I've got the most connection with. And then I'll go and hang out with them. They normally offer a course or like a 3-day boot camp. I'll go and get introduced to them and take it from there.
Love that. Love that, man. Amazing. Something else that I read on your social feed today that I thought would be a good thing to talk about. You started to talk about it earlier in terms of the business that folded. One of your posts I saw today talked about challenges making you stronger. How does a person, because that's a pretty big challenge that you went through back then. How have you? Because the feeling I have about you is that you've used your adversity, you've used your failures and your setbacks to fuel you, to make you stronger. To people that are watching that maybe have had setbacks, challenges in their life, as everyone does, but maybe they're not quite using them for fuel yet. It's actually using them. How can they better use their setbacks, their failures, their fuck ups to make them stronger?
Yeah, great point. You've just got to remember that in pretty much every successful business owner, entrepreneur, you look at the greats in the world, they've had more failures than successes.
Yeah.
And what we may see in somebody with their success, they've been practicing that for years behind the scenes. And every day is a school day. The more you learn or unlearn, actually, the more you earn. And it's just having belief in yourself and that determination to never ever give up. And actually, a lot of it, Miles, is the language that you say to yourself. If you continue to say to yourself, you're not good enough, you're a failure, you're not bringing anything to the table, then you'll continue to believe that, and that's how you'll live your life. And it is absolutely okay to say, hey, I am good at this. I am good at this. I am a great person. And I tell you something which really was a game changer for me. For many years, ever since I was like 5, 6 age, living on a council estate with my mum, not having any food on the table, being bullied at school for, having the crappy clothes and the cheap clothes. And going through that process, I always thought that I had to be good at everything. And actually 7 years ago, I said, there is so much I am not good at. And I owned that. But then I said, and I did an exercise, and I challenge everyone to do this exercise: get a pen and paper and write down 50 great things about you.
Amen.
50. Now, some people will get to like 2 or 3 and they'll struggle. So you have to do a bit of soul searching and stick with it. And I did this list of 50 great things about me, and I was like, freaking hell, man, I'm an awesome guy. I'm a great person. I have got a lot of value to give. And then it was like, well, all this other stuff I'm not very good at, own it. Don't try and be something I'm not. Why don't I build a team or find people that can fill in the gaps? One of the reasons why I'm called the deal maker, right? Because I just seem to make deals happen, and I bring in the right people at the right time. And don't allow your challenges to stop you from moving forward in the future. Challenge is just all part of growth. Challenge is all part of the journey, and you've got to have fun with it. And when you have a challenge, it's about having the mindset to say, right, this is my challenge. What's the solution? Become a solution-based thinker rather than someone that just gives up the moment it gets tough, because it's going to get tough no matter what you do. Working a 9 to 5 gets tough. I'd much prefer things to get tough, building my own business, inspiring other people, helping other people.
Love that. Love that. Beautiful, by the way, that exercise, Liam. That's absolutely amazing. Let's talk about selling. What has been, because there's a lot of misconceptions people have about selling. I definitely know our audience historically, coaches historically, unless they've been trained by me, they tend to hate selling. They see it as sleazy, it's inauthentic, all this kind of stuff, unless they've trained by me and they know that if they believe in what they're doing, it's absolutely imperative. What would you say to people that are watching that, like, I don't like selling, I don't want to be perceived as salesy? How can they get over that? Because you, in my opinion, have become a master at sales in a really authentic, really heart-centered way. What advice would you have for people who are like, oh, selling?
Yeah, great. If you go to America, like, people are really proud to say they're a salesperson.
Yeah.
They're like, man, you're a salesman. This is wicked, right? Here in the UK, it's like an ugly word. And I remember being told by my English teacher in year 9 of secondary school, and she said to me, whatever you do, don't become a salesman. It's the worst career you can ever have. And even at that age, I was already selling stuff at school, right? So I was always the kid in the playground and selling the sweets. And I used to go in with my school bag. I wasn't interested in that. And then I would go in with the Reebok bag and jeans and perfumes. And I was sort of that kid at school that could get you whatever you wanted. So I've always embraced selling from a very, very young age. And here's the thing. If you want a successful business, sales is the bloodline to any business, sales and marketing. And you're not born a salesman, you're born a baby. It is a skill that can be mastered by any single person on the planet when you get around people that understand how to do it. And selling is not sleazy, selling is caring, selling is serving. Selling is definitely not manipulating. Selling is not bullying. And we all get in every industry, it doesn't matter what you do, Miles, you got good doctors, bad doctors. You got good lawyers, bad lawyers. You got good car salesmen, bad car salesmen. You get good guys and bad guys in any industry. So my recommendation is the following. If you have a product, a service, a solution, a system, an idea, if you have something that is going to have a positive impact on your audience, your clients, your fans, your followers, I challenge you that by not selling your product, you're giving people a disservice. You're actually holding people back from having a better life.
Absolutely.
Now, if you're selling crap, then you shouldn't be selling it. Then yes, selling is bad. But you've got to embrace, and I know what I do, Miles, in our property business and wealth training company, the training courses we provide, the mentoring courses, the online, offline products. I know that when people consume my stuff and they take action, their life will 100% transform.
Yes.
So that's why I'm okay with selling. And the quicker people can embrace that and not make it about them. So what can they do? Well, don't stop making it about yourself. Stop
Great
making it
advice.
about your past. Make it about your clients. Make it about the people that you're serving. That's what I would recommend.
Love that. Love that. Leads me beautifully on. I saw a post that you put which said something along the lines of, it was like, if everyone's moving forward together, success takes care of itself. And the reason why I feel like that's appropriate to talk about is because it sounds like what you're saying is that if you're focused on selling from a contribution based space, then it's not actually about selling, it's about serving. And one of the things that I love about you and what you do with Assets for Life is it really, I get a real sense that everyone's moving forward together. What input, what would you say has been, a big factor with you with that? Because I know a lot of people, when they start out, I was definitely guilty of this starting out. I was thinking of, how can I make money? How can I make sales? I was thinking of, how can I just look after me? And then things changed when I started to think, well, how can I just serve people so much and add so much value that I'm just taken care of as a byproduct? And lo and behold, that's what's happened. How do you shift your mindset if you're a person that, if you're really honest with yourself and you're watching, you're like, yeah, I've been thinking about, how do I make this much money? I just need to make this much money. How do you shift out of that into, focused on a mission that really is pulling other people forward together?
Yeah, that's a good point. And, I do believe partnerships, collaboration, community is the way forward. There's a lot of hate out there. There's a lot of resentment out there. There's a lot of war out there, a lot of backstabbing, but actually there's also a lot of love and there's a lot of great people. And I believe if we can come together and collaborate and work together in teams to a common goal, a common vision, then we're all going to get there a lot quicker. And people may have heard this, that your bank account is in direct proportion to the number of people you serve. And I get it, right? If you're not making any money, you've got bills to pay, like the focus is like, oh, I just want more money. The problem with that is that you then tend to make mistakes. And just because you want more money doesn't mean you're going to get more money. So you have to have a product, a community, a service, an idea that is going to serve and help other people, and really just put your focus at embracing and enhancing other people's lives. Now, that might just be one person to start with. You know, whose life could I enhance today to make it better? Might be 5 people, then it's 10 people, then it's 50 people, then it's 500 people, then it's 5 million people. But there's a bit of a catch 22. There's a lot of people that want to go and help a lot of people, but they don't charge for their time miles, so they just end up being skint. They don't value themselves. So everybody needs to start valuing themselves more and really understanding what you bring to the party. Because you need to charge for your time, you need to charge for your services. Now, you don't rip people off, you definitely don't do that. You don't undercharge, you don't overcharge. You charge what's right in the marketplace and then over deliver to that client so they keep coming back time and time and time again. And I've just done an inner circle day today. My top paying clients that pay me £25,000 a year to mentor them, and we've been masterminding all day today, and they've all had breakthrough moments. They've all grown today. We've worked together, and I've really challenged some of them today in front of the group, and I've put them on the spot. But that's why they pay me 25 grand a year. They pay me, so I tell them not what they necessarily want to hear, but what they need to hear. And I think that's important.
Amazing. Love that. Let's talk about balancing life roles, because not only you're a busy businessman and entrepreneur, but you've got a big family as well. How do you balance the husband, father, entrepreneur? What are some mistakes you've made, lessons you've learned, and how are you? I know that life is often about just figuring it out as we go along, right? But how do you balance that growth of business, growth of man, growth of being a father, husband? How do you balance all that?
Cool. Really good point, this, because what most people do, and I've been guilty before, we just work, and we justify, and we've been taught from a young age that you need to grind it out, you need to work hard, and society, 2-3 jobs, whatever the case may be. And I remember being in my early 20s, and I had Ida, my eldest daughter, at the age of 24. She's now 16, right? I had Charlie at the age of 26. He's now 14. And through their early life, I wasn't a bad dad, but I wasn't there for them. I wasn't doing the school runs. I wasn't doing the bedtimes. I wasn't, because my whole focus was, I've got to build business. I've got to make millions of pounds. Doing it again now. I'm now married with Holly. We've been together, a good amount of time. Married 3 years, together 7 years. I've got Ivy, who's now 5. I've got Winter, who is now 16 months. And I've got a great relationship with all my kids. But when I got back into this space 7 years ago, it was like, why am I doing this? Yes, I want more money, but it's about creating memories. And I want to do this so I can get to spend quality time with my loved ones. Now, that's not always the case, because when you're starting new businesses, you have to make sacrifices. And if you've got to grind it out, you've got to grind it out. And if you've got to pull an all-nighter, you pull an all-nighter. But what was really important, and it still is today, is having my wife and my children also understand the vision of what I'm doing, what we're doing as a family, and where this is going to take us. So I think that's really important, to get your family to understand why you might have to be on your laptop at midnight, why you may have to go and do a networking event a couple of times a month and sacrifice an evening dinner. So if they buy into it and they understand it, that's not going to create the conflict and the resentment. What I find also very important to get that balance is, I've got a saying: what goes in the diary gets done. So when I'm doing my monthly diary or my weekly calendar, I put time in which is only for Holly and the kids. And that's it. And they've got quality time. They let me do the things I need to do, and I make sure it's as balanced as possible. And like to go on holidays. I love doing the school runs. I love being able to take Charlie to rugby and go and hang out with my daughter and go for meals. But it's got to go in the freaking diary. If it doesn't, I could go 3 weeks and I've not spent any time with them. So that's what I would recommend. Get it in the diary, have some balance.
Love that. Going back to what you said there about getting them to buy into the vision. If there's someone watching that maybe they're like, Liam, I have this partner and he or she, I've tried to get them to see my vision, but they just don't seem to understand. But I love them. How do you get that person? How do you get the people around you to buy in if they currently don't? Don't. But I was lucky. Like, I remember living in a bed sit in Birmingham not that long ago. Really lucky that now Mrs. Grant just went, I see the potential. I'm with you. But if you have someone that doesn't maybe quite buy in and see the vision, but you know that they are right, or you feel that they're right, how do you get them to, what would you say? How do you get them to buy in?
Yeah, great. So a few points on that. So you're not going to be able to convince all your loved ones that what you're doing is the right thing. And sometimes you've got to stop convincing them. Actually, have a go. But if it's not working, what most people do is they then do what their partner wants them to do, which is then not follow their dreams.
Yes, yeah.
And then you just become miserable inside, and all that sort of stuff. So if your partner's not on side, or your kids, you say, hey, look, I understand where you're coming from. That's absolutely fine. However, this is my dream as well. This is my vision. And I'm going to do it regardless of what you say. And I'd like you to be as supportive as possible. I'm not going to talk to you too much about it, but I'm going to let you know what I'm doing. I'm going to keep you up to date. And it would be great that you could just support me. I think that's important, to just say, hey, that's my boundary and that's what I'm going to do. If I was with someone that was then constantly negative, even when I was doing great, I'd get rid of them. I wouldn't want to be with them eventually. I wouldn't give up at the first hurdle if I loved them. But if Holly was like a negative, miserable woman that was just holding me back all the time, I would eventually have to not be with her and go and find someone that's compatible. And there are a lot of people out there, Miles, and some people might not like me saying this. There's a lot of people out there that are in marriages. They shouldn't be in marriages.
Yeah. Great. Love that. Last couple of things I want to talk to you about, conscious of your time. I want to talk about rewarding yourself. Recently, you've rewarded yourself. Liam has got the sexiest Lamborghini you're ever going to see. Batman would turn his head at this Lamborghini. And I remember when we got together, just how proud I was to have a friend that sort of, when he achieves something, is just what I love about you, dude, is your ability to reward yourself when you know you've done something well, reward your potential. I know there's a lot of people that maybe don't have that. Full transparency, it doesn't have to be a Lamborghini, it can be something small. How do you, what's so important to you about rewarding yourself when you've fulfilled what you feel like is part of your potential? What do you think is so important about that?
That's a really good point. And the reason for the Lamborghini is, the age of 6 and 7, growing up with no money. I used to have pictures of Lamborghinis on my bedroom wall, and I would spend my Saturdays over in the little newsagents on the council estate, looking at opulent items and fast cars and private jets. And somewhere in the back of my mind, I subconsciously said, I'm going to be a millionaire one day, and I'm going to support my mom and support my brother, and help the family. So that's always been a dream of mine. Now having a Lamborghini doesn't make me any better or any worse than anyone else, or the guy or the girl on the park bench. It is just a car, but it makes me feel good, and that's what's important.
Yes.
It drives me to that next level. And it's also a way of me saying, well done to you, Liam, and giving myself a pat on the back. So what I like to do, Miles, and I recommend people do this, is set yourself targets and put a reward at the end of that target. But don't just say, I'm just going to have a holiday, or I'll reward myself. Well, what is the reward? Mate, it could just be, I'm going to hit this target. I'm going to get my first client in the business, and I'm going to treat me and my kids and my wife, and we're going to go and have a slap up steak meal. But own that. And when you reach that first client, or those first leads, or that first milestone, actually own it and embrace those 2 or 3 hours having that meal. Make a big song and dance about it and say, hey man, we've come far, and this is amazing. And let the good feeling, so many people suppress the good feeling, right? It's like, oh, I can't feel good. Oh, what
I'll
are
be
people
happy
going to
when.
think about me? Embrace that good feeling. So I like to set targets. I've got no shame in saying I want an exceptional life. I don't know how long I'm going to be alive for. So while I'm alive, I want to live my best life. I want my family to live their best life. I like the finer things in life. And I also want to go and help and serve millions of people across the globe.
Beautiful. Love that. Love that. Wrapping up, Liam, what's next for you in 2022? I know you've got a big calendar that you've just kind of posted. You've got, I think, 300 events maybe in 2022 or
Yeah,
something?
yeah.
Well, what's next for you?
Yeah, we're just tallying it up. So we've got over 350 events next year in our property business and wealth training company. That's from online mentoring sessions across the different verticals. That's boot camps, live academy days, preview events, in-person Zoom. So yeah, over 350. So really for 2022, it's about building the team of really smart, great people far smarter than me, that's for sure. So building an exceptional team. It is staying clear to our overall vision, where we want to help transform millions of lives across the globe, so people feel better about themselves, they get out the financial trap, and they live the quality of life that they want to live via investing, upskilling, and that's why we offer these different verticals. It's also to continue developing deeper, meaningful relationships with JV partners. I've got amazing joint venture partners. I work with amazing mentors, and really for 2022, it's to continue to have fun, enjoy what I do, spend quality time with my family, and just be of service to my communities, and keep attracting good into the community, where we can all work and love each other and support each other.
Amazing, brother. Amazing. For people that are here that are going to want to stay in touch with you, which they inevitably will, what's the best way for people to connect with you, find out more about you, go to one of your events? What's the best way for them to do that, brother?
Great, cool. So a couple of things. You can hook me up on Instagram, Liam J Ryan Wealth. So hook me up on Instagram. You can also go to the Assets for Life website, www.assetsforlife.com. assetsforlife.co.uk. You can access some free training on the website as well. And you can also hook us up on YouTube, Assets for Life YouTube channel. Plus, find me on
Amazing.
Facebook, Liam J. Ryan. I'm on Facebook. Yeah, it won't be hard to find me.
Oh, and also check out Liam's podcast called The Deal Maker, right?
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. There you go. Check it out. Mr. Liam Ryan, been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being on the show, brother.
Man, it's been awesome. And I wish you, Miles, and all your audience and everyone a fantastic end to 2021. And make sure 2022 is your best year ever.
God bless you, brother.